I'm Haley Hepworth, and this is your BMB coronavirus report for Thursday, June 11th, and this is the 62nd day of school that we have missed since we began following the stay-at-home order. This is also the final Thursday that BMB will be reporting for the 2019-2020 school year, and tomorrow was the final day of the BMB broadcast season. Governor Cuomo was at LaGuardia Airport yesterday for the reopening of the new Terminal B, which was completed during the stay-at-home period. Governor Cuomo used the example of LaGuardia as a model for how to take advantage of the lower density to rebuild the infrastructure across the state. With most of the state now in phase 2 of the reopening, Governor Cuomo cautioned that we were all in a new stage with the virus.
You're dealing with a virus. The virus does not know from Democrats or Republicans or liberals or conservatives. The virus is a virus, and it spreads wherever it can. It's a pure opportunist. But you can measure this. It's public health. It's science. Measure it and follow the numbers. What numbers are important now? The numbers to watch now are the daily testing results.
As reopening expands, we'll all need to watch the testing results to see if the virus truly is at a level where we can safely begin reopening all activities. Finally, as reported yesterday, here in Bellmore Merrick, it was announced that in-person graduations will take place on June 27th and June 28th for the seniors of all 3 Bellmore Merrick schools. Ceremonies will be capped at 150 attendees, so each school will hold multiple ceremonies throughout each day that will be recorded by BMB. Now let's check in on some of our reporters to see how they're wrapping up the year.
So one thing that got me through the quarantine that's lasted for almost 3 months now is the fact that I've been going on drives basically every day. Just kind of take the car out and drive around for an hour or two a day, kind of pick a destination some days. Other days I kind of just drive, see where it takes me. That's kind of been a thing that's been getting me through quarantine. It's fun. So yeah, and for the summer, hopefully stuff will start opening up. I won't have to waste so much gas doing all that. Instead I can waste gas doing going places and doing more fun things. But I mean, I don't mind driving, but I'd rather be going to the beach or going to a park or something, or just hang out with friends normally instead of quarantine, social distancing. But yeah, from BMB, I'm Casey Fahrer.
I'm Spencer Mattes, reporting one last time from Legion Street. As this school year concludes in a relatively bizarre fashion, I thought I'd take some time to reflect upon the wacky state of the world at this moment. Personally, the most important thing I've learned from this situation is the virtue of long-term patience and looking at the big picture of reality. Especially when, I'm sitting in my room all day for weeks on end that just blur into one another. The monotony can get to me. However, it's important to take a step back and realize that the sacrifices we're making now will benefit society in the long run as we recover and improve from this pandemic. Looking now towards the future, I'm hoping that in the summer we'll get to see some meaningful baseball. As you can see behind me, I'm an ardent Mets fan, and I would love to see them succeed. They have a nice young core, and I don't want them to waste a season of that. That's all for this report. For BMB, I'm Spencer Mattes. Farewell, everybody. Stay safe.
I'm Lorrie DellaCroce, and I'm reporting for BMB. My message to my fellow Pirates as we head into the summer would be to just appreciate the time you have here at MEPM and appreciate the time you have as a kid. We all thought we could have our closure in the last few months of school, but we didn't have that opportunity. And it may seem cliche, but you never know what could happen, so you really just have to enjoy it while it lasts. But if I could go back to the last day of school that we had, I'd probably just take a step back and enjoy everything in my last day just one more time. But then for summer, I hope that everything just starts to go back to normal. Although there'll still be many precautions, I just hope that I can at least hang out with my friends and family one more time before college starts. Reporting for BMB, I'm Lorrie DellaCroce.
Rocco Law back on the Daily Report here with some end of the year Q&A. And we're going to start off here right off the bat with what was my most memorable moment of this past school year. Well, I think definitely for me, for me, it had to be the utter dominance my class of 2020 showed at this year's Battle of the Classes against the class of 2021 and the rest of the school. Complete and utter domination. I don't think the school has ever seen, or at least, I don't know, you got to ask somebody, but I don't think the school has ever seen that type of blowout at the Battle of the Classes. You know, me and my former co-host Brandon Hislop for talking sports talk, meeting at the net, going head-to-head on volleyball. Not gonna lie, they had us in the first half, but we came back out on top, and we were victorious. We were number one in every category, in every event. We were just utter dominant. Now, if I could go back to March 14th, the last day, technically in school this year because of COVID or what have you, and what has happened, what would I do different that day? Well, I think for a lot of students like myself, especially as being a senior, I just cherish the day. I'd soak it all in. I'd take the memories of what I've done and where I've been and what I've been able to do at MEPM my 4 years and just soak it all in. Just make it memorable. Just reel in the nostalgia and everything. And there would be so many things I would be able to do. I'd go back up to the third floor, go back into Miss Siegel's room, not for some algebra, but to hear definitely for some more Aunt Fran stories. What else would I do? I'd go down to the gym and play one-on-one with Mr. Owenberg. I dropped him the first time, won that one. Sorry, Mr. O. Sorry, I know, I dropped you. That was me. That was all me. But anyway, I would do so many things. I'd go back, spend hours in the broadcasting room just running around with Mr. Russell and Mr. Stein and just telling Miss K, hey, Miss K, I need a graphic. Just run around the broadcasting room like that, that I've been doing for the past 4 years. And just to cherish the day. Just to think that just a couple weeks before that, we were all just in the midst of almost entering the fourth quarter. For us seniors, just entering the final stretch, the last dance, and it just didn't end up that way on March 14th. Instead, we weren't able to go back to school. We weren't able to continue our high school career, and a lot of people's dreams and a lot of people's plans got, severed over the coming weeks and coming months. And it was a pretty big day, March 14th. I know for myself and many other students, including the senior class, I could definitely speak for them, that March 14th will always be a day in our hearts that we will remember. Always remembered. March 14th. Now, what does being a MEPM Pirate mean to me? Well, I think it just means just a uniqueness, being a MEPM Pirate. It's just, in MEPM, it's not really culture, but the culture is just so amazing, so phenomenal. You have so many different clubs, sports, and so many different friends you can make. And just being a MEPM Pirate to me, it just meant just being something. Just being something. Being a MEPM Pirate, just something about it, just made you feel just a sense of pride and urgency to carry that tradition and that motto just with you everywhere you went.
Thanks, guys. Now let's take a look back at all that has happened since the last time we were all in school. By the end of the day on March 13th, students across the Bellmore Merrick School District knew that they'd be out of the school for the following Monday and Tuesday. What they did not know was that Friday, March 13th would be their last day in school for the year. But here in Bellmore Merrick, March 13th was far from the last day of school.
We were really fortunate. We were watching this pandemic sort of unfold a week and a half prior to the 13th. And I remember being called into Mr. DiTomaso's office, pretty much, talking about the need to be ready for this. So the week and a half prior, we started communicating with our staff. We were telling them about the possibilities. We worked out a system where we would utilize Infinite Campus, which is our student management system, as like an initial communication. And then once contact would be made, that teachers would use the platforms that they were most comfortable with to continue instruction. And, you saw in that week and a half the collaboration and the extra efforts of our faculty to be prepared. I don't think there were many districts that finished school on March 13th and started automatically on March 16th. Bellmore Merrick was one of the only school districts to be ready on that Monday.
And teachers and students around the district started off on a 3-month adventure in distance learning.
How fast it all happened. We were ready to go out on quarantine. The day that we left school, we were ready. We knew that we were going to be teaching from home for a little while, and we had work out that Monday. But how quickly it escalated from, well, we might be out for a couple of days to this. I think I'm still reeling a little bit from that. I think a lot of people are. I don't think any of us really anticipated it would become as big as it did. This is no teacher signs on to do this. This is not this is not the way we teach. And so having over a quarter of the year work this way, I think has just been the most surprising thing.
I got to build up some college skills, I think. I was never really the type of person to be good at time management and organization. And I always needed that extra push. And college is going to, sure, in college I'll have support, but I'm going to have to keep track of things myself. And I think this remote learning has prepared me for that.
Online learning, at first I thought it was fun, be like, yeah, you stay home, no school. Now, after about a week and a half, I feel like teachers are piling more and more work on because they don't think you have anything better to do.
I honestly like it. It's not bad because we have more time to do our work. Except if I have a question, it gets annoying because I have to wait for the teacher to respond.
Although the scheduling is more lenient, I think self-teaching material is more difficult.
Listen, truth be told, it's hard. And I think that's the challenge that a lot of teachers are having moving to online. And I think that also it's a challenge that students are having also, because we have students that we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what their individual situations are. They might have family members that have been affected by COVID.
Just the change. I don't really like change that much. I mean, change is good a lot of the time, but I just missed my teachers. I've reached out to them, trying to stay in touch a little bit. I miss my classmates too. I reached out to them too. It's just kind of lonely, and it's I guess there's a silver lining to it.
As the stay-at-home period progressed, some of the lessons grew more innovative and interactive.
Hey everybody. We've been spending a good bit of time looking and drawing at our windows, and you've been doing an amazing job. It makes sense that we draw this subject matter. This is an important time in our history, and I want you to be able to look back at this time and reflect. Since we're spending our time inside our homes, it's our windows that are most directly connecting us to the outside world.
So as classroom learning began to take shape in the new reality, spring athletes learned that their seasons would not be starting.
Athletes should begin to look back on their fondest memories and the bonds they can never replace. Because at a time of heartbreak, everyone should remember their best times. For most high school athletes, their senior year is the last time that most will get a chance to play the sports they grew up with on a competitive level. There may be no sports going on in the stadiums or the fields, but there is still cheering and there is still applause.
It affected everybody differently, affected adults differently than it affected kids, and seniors differently than the underclassmen. It happened so quickly. We were off to a great start. The weather was perfect. We were able to practice outside. The coaches were all extremely optimistic. The kids were eager to get going. And then this news happens, and we have this brief hiatus, we think, and we're not sure how long it's going to take. So we're trying to stay in contact with the kids, keep them motivated, tell them to keep their skills sharp and their conditioning up to par, up to speed. And then the news keeps getting worse and worse.
Here on Long Island, Patrick Pizzarelli, Executive Director of Section 8 Athletics, announced the difficult decision to cancel the 2020 spring sports season. Nothing can ever replace being on the field with your teammates, So now, more than ever, savor every moment because you never know when it's going to be taken away.
We haven't been able to step foot on the field this year for softball, and it's kind of heartbreaking based on all the hard work we put in over the years, and we've all been playing together since we were little, and this is the last time for most of us that we're even playing softball, and for the others, like, ever playing together. So it's kind of hard that we haven't been able to have the season we've been hoping for.
When I heard that the spring season was canceled, I was really upset because for me, the way I look at the fact that my final season, because I'm a 12 sport athlete, my final season was canceled, was that there was a lot of stuff that could have happened, but like we won't know, like what could have been.
We worry about them. Seniors had goals that they were hoping to reach. Seniors were waiting their turn. Coaches, there were a lot of coaches that were so excited for this season, and they had prepared for a full year to get this season underway, and then they're disappointed. So everybody is handling it differently. The adults from the kids, even parents of student athletes have put so much time in, and they want their child to have fun and to be successful and to be invested. And the parents are losing a lot with this as well. So there's very little positive. We believe in schools. We believe in sports. We believe in the relationships that coaches have with the student athletes. And all of that was taken away. And we're trying to contact kids. And you're trying to be there as a role model for a student athlete. But it's hard to do it on the computer or through a phone. And the connection that coaches have in the halls and in the locker rooms, and that word of encouragement on the playing field after a mistake or after a good play, those are the things that as a coach that I miss. But I'm just afraid these kids down the line, they're going to miss that full year of having a role model next to them.
To fill the void created by the loss of spring sports and the cancellation of all school events, many of the school organizations sprang into action, and here at BMB, we were on the air almost immediately.
I thought that if we were going to close, it would be at a week at the maximum. So I thought it would be fun to record one of our midweek update shows while we weren't in school. So I talked to a couple of my friends about the idea.
Once our regular shows were on the air, we moved on to create 2 live game shows. We hosted a Faculty Follies at Home and a virtual St. Baldrick's event.
The BMB kids have been amazing. We were afraid that we were going to have to cancel St. Baldrick's this year with everything going on. And after seeing the live game shows that they produced, we knew that they would be able to handle bringing our event to life virtually.
BMB wasn't alone filling the internet with content from Bellmore Merrick. The drama programs of all 3 high schools produced remote versions of their spring musicals.
So much of theater is community, and usually community is done in person and not necessarily online. Fortunately, we have things like Zoom or Google Meets and all like the different editing technologies that we could do. So it's different because I miss being able to interact with the people directly. And sometimes when I want to deliver feedback in real time, I can't do that. But yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate to have students who are really good with editing and layering things and putting it together and balancing sound. So it requires adaptation.
She leaves the room, yet remains. She lingers on. Something stirs me to think of her. I think of her. From death she casts a spell. All night we hear her sighs, and now the girl has come who has her eyes. She has her eyes. The girl has Lily's hazel eyes, those eyes that saw him happy long ago, those eyes that gave him life.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a
club and the spirit of the club alive, and that's really what we try to do. We always try to keep the spirit, the energy, all that kind of stuff. We try to keep it alive, and it's definitely sad that we had to say goodbye to like doing the show, or just like we had to put an end to it so quickly, especially for the seniors where it was their last year doing it. It was definitely hard, but putting together a virtual performance, putting together the trailers, the Seasons of Love, like all the stuff that we've been doing as a club together, it's really helps like keep the second family close together and keep everyone's hopes up, and just
Calhoun's music program also created a series of viral videos.
We're gonna try this thing out, like we're gonna see how it goes. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So he was like, there can be mistakes, like don't worry, don't freak out. And he gave us like a step-by-step list on how to like do this song, and it was really important that you had your headphones in, you couldn't hear the music. And then we all sent really awkward videos of us just singing because you don't hear the music. So when you played it back, like no music was playing, it was just your voice. So some of us were like, oh, this is gonna be a little rough, like we don't know what's going on here. But then he used his special software or whatever. We really don't know what he did, but he produced magic, and that's how it came out so good.
So there are a lot of music teachers all across the country that were kind of, when this all started, were kind of walking around lost in the woods trying to figure out what to do. And little by little, a bunch of people said, well, what if we create something that's not live, but is the next best thing? And that's a virtual choir. So while it looks like we're all singing together, we're actually not singing together. Everybody is recording themselves individually, and then they send it to me, and then I do a lot of magic behind the scenes and lining up the video and lining up the audio in order to make it sound like we're actually doing it.
Not to be outdone, the music programs at Mepham and Kennedy also got into the online music business. And BMB wasn't the only one on the air with news broadcasts.
Good day, Grand Avenue. It's Friday, May 8th. I'm Michaela Dobby, and this is the Braves News Network.
We probably started doing the announcements, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks in to the quarantine. So we've probably been doing it, like I would say 4 to 5 weeks now, steadily.
We all have certain days to do the announcements. So my role, I would be doing it on Wednesdays and Fridays. And Friday, we would all do it together, and one person would be editing it. And everyone's been doing really well.
The way I would gather information is I would look at weekly updates from Mr. Conti, our middle school principal at Grand Avenue. I would take information from him. I would also ask some of the staff members if they had anything they wanted to share that was really pertinent to not only the kids, but the community.
And it wasn't just the organized efforts of the schools to make a difference during the stay-at-home period, as teachers and students took on challenges big and small to make the world a better place.
I think a couple weeks after the whole shutdown situation, we were having Zoom meetings with our Key Club board, with me being the president and the vice president and all the other board members, and we were basically just trying to figure out ways to help the community by staying at home. So we had already done small projects like, bake goods and give them out, but I also saw that a lot of people needed masks. So my mom and I often do like craft projects and sew and stuff. So I, pitched this idea in our Zoom meeting, and I was like, how about we made cloths covering masks for people that need them?
So I started virtual basketball training for kids grades kindergarten through 8th grade. And basically what happens is I train these kids for 30-minute sessions through the platform Zoom, and they can donate however much money they like. And money that's donated from the players and the players' parents, and all the money goes straight to Island Harvest Food Bank.
I did a food drive to help donate to the community cupboard, because during this difficult time for everybody, unfortunately, people were unemployed at the time. People would pull up in their cars in front of my house, and then they would hand me the food that I can put in boxes. And then my mom's entire car was filled with donated food for the community cupboard. And the guy who was in charge of the cupboard that day said that was the most food he's ever seen donated.
Every year, I try and raise money for the St. Baldrick's Foundation by having a contest in my class. The students try and raise as much money as they can, and whoever raises the most gets to shave my head, usually at the event at the end of the year. That event was canceled, but I still wanted to honor my commitment and help raise awareness for the foundation. So my wife and I figured out a way to get it done anyway. The students came and shaved my head social distance style. I taped a buzzer to a 6-foot pole, and they were able to shave my head that way. And the reason I did it was, again, just to honor the commitment, but also hopefully bring a smile to some people's faces and make more people aware of the foundation.
While I was sick, my grand math peeps grabbed my students and threw them onto their websites because I couldn't really do anything for 2 weeks. And every time I tried, I ended up crashing all my sites because I had no brain. So they helped ridiculously. And I never had to cook because everybody in the neighborhood ended up dropping food at my door. No idea if it was good or bad, because without a sense of smell, you have no sense of taste. But everybody just was amazing. So the reason I ended up having to do, or the reason I ended up kind of being the face of this study I did interviews with WebMD and the Herald and Newsday, was mainly because I knew about it before everybody. Number one, I was one of the first people to get sick. And my son, who was working at Stony Brook, I had said if a study comes along, and so I knew about it the day it came out.
We couldn't be more proud of what our students and our teachers have done the past 3 months. During these unprecedented times, we came across a lot of challenges, and we had to learn quite a bit, both inside our virtual classrooms and in our school community. But the thing we already knew was that the students and teachers at Bellmore Merrick would be the leaders. We saw that every day in what they created, what they produced, and what they did for one another. I couldn't be more proud to be part of this district and part of the Bellmore Merrick family.
For BMB from Bellmore Merrick Remotely, I'm Haley Hepworth. So that will do it for another episode of the BMB Daily Report. Be sure to subscribe to the BMB YouTube page to get the latest on all that is going on around the district during this difficult time. To the members of our community and of our family who are struggling today, know that you are not alone. And for BMB, I'm Haley Hepworth. Stay healthy, Mepham, and I'll see you on BMB next year.